Hey, y'all, you're listening to the Chicken Fried Women podcast with me, your host, Melissa Radke, the original recipe. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Chicken Fried Women podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Radke, and Dr. Derek Shepard is in the house right now, my co-host. Oh, I'm sorry, you want to see him? Okay. Derek Shepard, look at him. Look at him. How beautiful. Nobody has a co-host on their podcast this beautiful. And another reason that I think Dr. Derek Shepard is the best co-host is because if I say, hop up in my lap, he will. And nobody has that going with a co-host right now. Am I right? Hey, you guys. Welcome to Chicken Fried Women. I am your host, Melissa Radke. And today I want to do something a little bit different. We've been listening to some stories from my family. We've been listening to some ways to connect and create community intentionally in your own life. But today I'm doing something a little bit different because I'm by myself here in the studio and I want to read to you from my book. Oh, would you look at that, y'all? Look how we did that, how this book looks exactly like, it's like subliminal messages that we've been sending to you every stinking week to go and pre-order Chicken Fried Women. But as I was getting ready to record today, I was going to record with David and I was going to sit him down and ask him questions and make him answer questions that I have for him about some of the women in my family, some of the women in my life. And I think it's going to be hysterical. I'm going to have him on next time. But instead, I wanted to grab this book and I wanted to read something to you from it. Because what's so funny is I wrote this book and then as soon as I did, it's like every story that is in here. And by the way, this is how many chapters? I don't even know how many chapters I wrote. Let me see. Oh, of course they don't have numbers on them because I'm a dum-dum. I wrote a lot of chapters and they're chock full of stories about the women in my life, the women that made me, that raised me, that humbled me, that taught me, that loved me, that listened to me, that shamed me. It's the stories about them. These are not just the women in my family, but the women that I call my best friends, my girlfriends, my college roommates. Actually, I didn't have a college roommate. I mean, I did, but apparently I was hard to live with. And she moved out about 6 weeks after school started. But the next year I got a new college roommate. She ended up leaving as well. But good news is I got a room to myself both years. Anyway, that's not the point. As soon as I wrote this book, it is like all the stories that I share with you in this book left my brain. And I've never thought about them again. And so David will be like, why don't you just sit down and and tell a story? You are a storyteller. Why don't you sit down and do that? I'm like, what story could I possibly share with everybody? He goes, oh, I don't know. What about one from the 900 pages that you wrote? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I could do that. I picked this up this morning and this is just like a little galley copy. It's a paperback copy. It's going to be in hardback, but, it's just one that kind of comes to us early that we can like look through and maybe make some edits on. And I wanted to read you guys from a chapter called These Double D's and Another Verse, Please. So are you ready? I'm going to read to you from this chapter. Once upon a time, I was a singer. It wasn't that long ago, actually. And sometimes late at night, if you listen really closely, you can still hear me singing Love Will Lead You Back by Taylor Dane into my mirror. Love will lead you back. Someday I just know that love will lead you back to my heart where you belong, I'm sure. That's how Taylor Dane did it. I grew up singing, and I don't mean that sentence like a little girl who learns the national anthem and then sings it around the Christmas tree one time for her grandparents so they can video it. I mean, I grew up going to revivals and singings. We would have singings, and I would be the youngest in the quartet. my Aunt Melba and my mom and my papa all standing around me singing their harmonies. And we would sing for tent revivals and Pentecostal revivals and Baptist Bible studies and Rotary Club meetings. We sang on the stage for school convocations. Now, what school is going to have a quartet made up of 3 fluffy women and an old white man? But I'm going to tell you what, they did it. Schools would invite us in, and we weren't no fun, so I don't know what they were thinking. We sang for school convocations and Christmas on the Square. They would bring us in to sing when they'd light up downtown. And we'd sing for the 4th of July hometown fireworks show. And we once sang, I'm going to take a trip in that good old gospel ship. I'm going far beyond the sky, at the opening of a new speedway near our house. I remember us talking about it and us being like, what would be good to sing at a speedway event? And we didn't know. Our God is an awesome God. Didn't seem to be the most fitting, but I'm going to take a trip on that good old gospel ship, because we didn't have any quartet songs about cars. My papa sang bass, and so did my Aunt Melba. That's not a lie. Actually, I put, not really, that's a joke. She sang alto, but I'm going to tell y'all, she's low. She sang like a bass, but she sang it so low that sometimes my mom would pull my aunt down my Aunt Melba's shirt like this. She would just like rip it down like that. And then she'd say, I'm just checking to see that you ain't got any chest hairs since you're able to sing that low, Melba Joy. And that was a standing joke. And we would just pull Melba's shirt down and say, you got chest hairs down there because you're singing so low, girl. No one ever really knew what my mom sang. Melba said she sang a special harmony called Whatever the Heck She Feels Like, because my mom has always been a little bit of a maverick. But me, I sang the lead. Because trust me, there is nothing cuter than a chubby, little round-faced, curly-headed, blonde 9-year-old singing, "There's power in the blood," at the top of her lungs. There's also nothing creepier than continuing to make her do it at 16 or 22. I used to sing a song called Come On, Ring Those Bells. Okay? And I hope I don't get sued for this. Come on, ring those bells, light the Christmas tree. Jesus is the King, born for you and me. Now, this is how I sang it at 9, with big old fat cheeks and, a lisp. Come on, ring those bells, light the Christmas tree. Jesus is the King, born for you and me. I mean, it was country, y'all. No offense to the writers of this song, but singing it at 9 with a slight lisp is very different than singing it at 17 with acne and a flock of seagulls hairstyle. I told my mom that I better not die before her, because if she has her way, she'll put, "Come on, Melissa, ring those bells just one more time for us," on my gravestone, because that's how she would always introduce the song. She would be like, "And y'all, for our next song, I'm going to ask Melissa to come up here and take this mic. And all I have to say, I'll just have to say 2 sentences to her and she knows exactly what to do. Come on, Melissa, ring those bells for us one more time." And then people would give a light clap, and then I would bust out. But singing and waving and fake laughing at a joke I'd heard my mama tell 1,000 times was how I was raised. I knew exactly when to raise my hand during the song, "When he was on the cross, I was on his mind." My Aunt Melba taught me the beauty of raising your hands to Jesus and crying if you ever forget the words, because no one can blame someone who has been overtaken by the Holy Spirit. In the 80s and 90s, there weren't CDs or CD players or anything remotely like that. There were cassette tapes, but those could never be trusted. So my mama played the piano for us at our shows. Our shows. What was I thinking? Occasionally, we would whip out the cassette player for some hip new song like "Our God is an Awesome God," but most times, my mama was the band. I'm not going to lie, we weren't bad. This chapter would be much funnier if I told you tales of how awful we were and how people had to get up and leave whenever my mom hit a high note, but that wouldn't be true. Truth is, y'all, we were good. And that's what's so terrible. We were good, y'all. We had what my mama called family harmonies. She said you couldn't get better harmonies than that. And if you'd ever heard us, you'd be quick to think she was right. Our sound was legit. Now, I'm saying this based off the fact that it was 1988. Okay. But we weren't exactly showstoppers on the stage. And that's the real problem, isn't it? I mean, families all over could just sing songs if they wanted to, but you got to be good on the stage. And that's where our problem was. It was that darn stage we had a problem with. Hey, did you know that the Chicken Fried Women podcast is being brought to you by my new book, Chicken Fried Women, coming out April 22nd? I have a question for you. Have you pre-ordered it yet? Go to Amazon.com or wherever you buy books and order one for you and your bestie and your mom and your college roommate. You get what I'm saying. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Problem number 1. My pawpaw refused to move. Not an inch. He would not, could not, should not ever be caught dead moving on a stage. God had called my pawpaw to use his voice, not his hips. If he said that once, he said it 1,000 times. He didn't like to see Elvis gyrating, and he wouldn't be accused of it either. The stage was for, this is a quote, ladies and gentlemen, delivering a message and not a ruckus. I love my pawpaw dearly, but comparing himself at 68 to 17-year-old Elvis Presley was going a little far. My mom once asked him if he could at least unbutton his top button and show a little chest hair. So I was there. She said, Daddy, look, if you're not going to sway your hips, if you're not going to tap your side, if you're not going to move your shoulders up and down, that's one thing. But could you at least, for the senior ladies in the back, unbutton your top button? You look like a priest, for Pete's sake. Unbutton your top button. Come on, fluff that chest hair up. Show a little chest hair. She was actually kidding. He got so mad he walked out of rehearsal and we couldn't even finish. Problem number 2. My mom, on the other hand, worked the stage like it was her last shift at the saloon and she needed to leave with carriage money. To this day, I can mimic my mom on stage and everyone seems to love it and laugh at it, except guess who? Her. Ask me to do it sometime. Okay? I do it, but I only do it for crowds. But the truth is, my mom has a beautiful smile and a huge personality. Asking her not to turn and sing to the people on the left and then to turn and sing to the people on the right was a travesty she would not abide. My papa asking her not to sway, don't sway. You might as well have asked her not to breathe. And yes, she was going to raise her arms and create signs with her hands. If the lyrics said, we are looking at the time, okay? There was a song that said, we are looking at the time. Then my mom would lift up her hand and pretend to look at her watch, okay? If the lyric was spreading his love, because now we are spreading his love, then you could expect that she would pretend to throw out seed onto the ground and then point upward as if to say, did y'all see that seed I'm sowing? That's God's seed. This is what we call working the stage. And my mother must have come out of the room doing it. There was one song we sang. This is not in the book. There was one song we sang and it would say, can you see the clock from where you stand? And my mother would put her hand up like this, like she was searching for that clock. Can you see the clock? Oh, and then she would go like this, like surprise, like from what, like we found it. We was looking for a clock and we found it, y'all. Problem number 3. This left my Aunt Melba right in the middle of the madness. She's right in between Papa, who didn't move, and my mom, who was working it like a cheerleader at the national level. Should she stand still? Should she move like a crazy person? She never really could figure it out. And whereas you might have thought my pawpaw standing stick still was weird looking, or my mom miming Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want, with her left hand looked awkward. It was really the girl stuck in the middle of them both that took the cake. My Aunt Melba decided that she would err on the side of crying. So she sang every single song, y'all, with her hands lifted and tears rolling down her face. At the Rotary Club meeting, she cried. At the East Texas Speedway, yep, she cried. At Dr. Dennison's orthodontics open house, bawled. Okay. She would start off fine, but by the time we hit "It Is Well With My Soul," she'd cry like a baby, and everybody would just chalk it up to what Jesus was doing in her heart. Everyone but us. She said it worked for her because it meant she got to keep her eyes closed most of the time and didn't have to see what her lunatic sister was doing. I guess you could expect there to be a problem for the stage because I was up there too. Remember, Papa was one problem, Melba was the second problem, or Mama was the second problem, Melba was the third. You would expect there to be a problem for and it to be me. Okay, but I can assure you when it comes to the stage, I've never had a problem. Mic drop. It's funny that I just said mic drop, like I actually maybe dropped a mic on the stage, but I didn't because I'm a consummate professional. Even at 9, what do you want from me? One time, a boy I went to middle school with walked in during our first song. And when it was time to go around and introduce ourselves, I literally could not remember my own name. I'm not kidding y'all. He was sitting in the audience and he was popular. And side note, I was not. And I could not think of my name to save my life. I was so blown away that he was there. I couldn't remember my own name. When I looked at my mom like a deer in the headlights, she said, "Melissa, are you mute because that cute little Landon walked in?" "Hey, Landon. Good to see you, buddy. We're glad you're here tonight. I think you got this one over here a little gun shy." It is a wonder. This is not in the book. It is a wonder I still correspond with my mother. It is a wonder. Honestly, that we still talk to each other. My mom once had the most awesome idea. And she rewrote all the words to "Somewhere Out There Beneath the Pale." She rewrote all the words to "Somewhere Out There," the theme song from An American Tale, about an immigrant mouse that comes to America. I had to sing this rewritten song in front of people. The entire time I could see people looking around and asking, "Isn't this the song from that movie about a mouse?" That was the year, America, that I hit a low socially and have honestly never recovered. I tried to recall the words of this song to share with you here, but it turns out none of us remember what they were. So you see, trauma therapy does work. All right. I won't bore you with any more of that. As always, you can pre-order Chicken Fried Women on Amazon or wherever you buy books. Actually, I don't know if that's true. just go to Amazon. I can't wait to share more stories with you. So every once in a while, I'm going to be on here just sharing some stories from the book and then giving you my own little special rendition and backstageness to these stories. Because there's some parts of like when you're reading the book, you can't hear my lovely voice singing those songs. Okay? I didn't add in there that one time I had to sing the song about the immigrant mouse, but my mother had rewritten the words to like something about somewhere out there, someone saying a prayer that he'll come down and help me from a hill called Calvary. And when I was done, Landon, the middle school boy, went back to middle school and said, "Melissa wrote a song. It's kind of like that song about that rat." See, that's a part of the story you would never know, but you get to hear it here on the Chicken Fried Women podcast. I've loved being with you today, and I hope to tell you more stories and you and I get to have more laughs. Till next time. Thanks so much for being here today, where we get to talk about our friendships and our kinships and the stories that made us this way. Till next time.